Drake. It's a Drake
Hmm.
holiday, Drake day, Drake everything,
The boy.
dropping at 6 a.m., 6 God at 6 a.m. on the 6th, October's very own Drizzy Aubrey. And of course we had to listen to the whole thing and give our instant reactions. Rem, I'm a big Drake guy, but of course we'll what did you think of the album? I know you're a rap connoisseur yourself.
Well, I'm interested to hear what you say about this because
Mm,
you're obviously the Drake guy, but I I will just say like I like this album. I think it's a very very good album. I think there's a lot of strong songs on it and a lot of really good songs. And I think if I had to give this album like a score, maybe 0 out of 100, I would again say it's a very solid album and probably give it like an 87, an 88,
mhm.
somewhere in that range. Very, very good. But I think this album is an interesting gauge of what album expectations are, I think, in the modern streaming era. And Drake, especially, too, is a guy for, that because this now is his 13th studio album since 2009. Like the amount of material that this guy has put out in a time span is pretty unprecedented. Like his peers in that time stretch, Kendrick has only dropped 7 albums, 7 solo albums, and the Black Panther album. J. Cole has 6 solo albums and 3 Dreamville albums. And the only, guys that have actually produced that much material in general are guys like, Jay-Z, who took 20 years to do that. Same with Nas. Same with, Kanye doing it over a stretch of, 15 to 20 years. And it's gotten to the point where there is so much Drake just music in his library at this point that when he puts out an album, he doesn't necessarily need the album to be like great from start to finish. But that could also just be a byproduct of where we're at with how we consume music in the streaming era as well too. But this feels like the first album where again it has a lot of really good songs, but in the Drake library, I don't know if this had necessarily like, the 1 to 2 to 3 songs that really stood out as like, okay, this is like the next great Drake song. It's a good album, but was there a song that really jumped out as like, okay, this is the next best like put this in sort of the Hall of Fame, if this like what's the top song off this album to you? Is there any song that sort of goes into the upper tier of Drake songs?
So happy you asked. So happy
You
you
got a
asked.
big smile.
Oh, I got a huge smile.
How
I'm
much
telling
did
you
you
right
like
now.
this album?
Oh, I liked it. I liked it. I do think, I'm not gonna go crazy here
These
and
are
be like,
instant
oh my
reactions,
gosh,
by the way.
this is yeah, instant reactions
The
day of.
album came out
Yeah, literally
hours ago.
literally today. I'm not gonna come out here and say, oh my gosh, this is the best album he's ever had. I got on my own personal playlist of Drake, I got songs from almost pretty much every album of
Hmm.
his. I think the only one I really just couldn't stand any song was honestly Nevermind. Oh wait, no, there was
Jimmy Cooks?
Jimmy Cooks. Yeah, that's on
Jimmy
there.
Cooks.
And so I think there's been
Even Jimmy Cooks.
a song on every single one of his albums or more that I've liked and kept around. So, my personal favorite still continues to be Scorpion. I think
Ooh.
from top to bottom, that is, in my
Overtake Care?
opinion, his Take Care. It was here, let me see. I know his albums based more off his album art, really, to be 100%. So
Hmm.
let
Oh, yeah, yeah,
me
yeah.
I'm more of an album art kind of got like more life.
Take care, you get headlines, you get Marvin's Room,
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
Lord
Oh, yeah,
Knows.
okay. Because I know Views was a big one that,
Yeah.
when people talk about older Drake, that's a lot more of what we're looking at. Take Care.
That
Is
could
that
definitely be
his?
sort of the last OG Drake album
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I think Nothing Was the Same was probably my favorite from his old G. Yeah, Take Care. Yeah, that's what I thought. It is that original. Like, yeah, I probably I actually like Nothing Was the Same more than that one, honestly.
For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, I think Take Care has some good ones. Marvin's Room, of course, if you're
Hmm.
driving to Drake, and there's the classics on there. The
Headlines.
motto. The motto was, for a while they were my favorite Drake song. Um, you know, it's a
That
it's a
Take
it's a
Care, the namesake song.
yeah. It's a good album. Like I said, I don't think besides honestly Nevermind, I don't know if there's an album where I'll like kind of agree that it's bad. Like Her Loss, I think was a great album. I think
I think
and
Her Loss probably gets nominated this year.
yeah. Oh really? Okay.
Probably. Would be my guess.
Probably,
Is
yeah.
there a song on this album that's better than Jimmy Cook's?
Very much so. Very much so. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Oh, okay, okay. We're still
We're
building. We're
getting
still
there. But
building.
I think from top to bottom in terms of the beginning album to the end, I do like Her Loss more than this album. I think this album in the middle,
I agree with that.
it kind of got lost. There was some, I think it was definitely catering to more people. I think it was more of a general album to everyone. He had a lot. I think despite how many features he did have quite a few
Yeah.
albums on his own where he's just kind of singing it. It kind of seemed the same. I think when you look at like,
Mm.
Bahama Promises and Tried Our Best and Drew Picasso, it's kind of like you're kind of getting into
Well, he
similar.
slows down on basically like the features are all great, but and then he like when he does the solo stuff, he really like slows
Exactly.
down and chills out on all that stuff.
Exactly.
So he never like goes in on a verse or two when he's by himself. He just gives you that same vibe all the time. So Bahama Promises is I really like that song. It's probably
Yeah,
one of
that's
my
a good
favorites.
song. No,
I
I
like
did.
that's one of my favorite songs off the album. But then, like you're saying, you get that's the second or third. Well, he does a couple other solo songs, but then you
Yeah.
start getting like Tried Our Best, Drew a Picasso, What Would Pluto Do? And
Hmm.
it's 8 a.m. in Charlotte. It's kind of all the same
That's a good
sounding
one. I do
stuff,
like
like you're
8
saying.
a.m. in Charlotte,
8
though.
a.m. in Charlotte as well is one of my. I We might have to go through our list of
Yeah,
favorite
but
songs. I feel like we're already
we do have a top five.
overlapping.
We do have a top five here.
Okay, I have a
Okay.
top list as well.
Top five. Okay. I think at number five, I gotta
Oh,
go with
oh,
just looking
you're
out.
really teasing me on this song.
Yeah, just looking outside, 8 a.m. in Charlotte. It's a good song. It's
I
not
agree.
my kind of style. I think 7969 Santa. I kind of
I
like that
also
one as
agree.
well.
I had
That was
that
a
on
good
my
one.
list.
That was outside. But
I
top
also
five,
agree.
number five, we gotta go Rich Baby Daddy. Shout out to Sexy Red.
Oh,
And
okay. I
SZA
like that one.
really, really showing up. Really showing up. That's number five. I think, it was a good portioning between the three. I think that's one of the best in terms of balancing out between three different people. I think number
It says,
four, yeah, and SZA too. Number four, we gotta go Calling for You with 21 Savage. There's some people who aren't necessarily a fan of how much Drake is going with 21. I really like their collaboration. There's just
yeah, they're good.
they wrong. They're good in terms of like differences. I don't know. You got like, someone who's like more harsher and
Hmm.
harder with 21, and then you get the soft. It just for me, they complement each other well. So Calling for You. Number three, we gotta go with Another Late Night with Little Yachty. I just keep going back to it.
Okay.
I really keep
Okay.
going back to it. It's like almost, I think, yeah, it's almost like two different songs. It's very, I like how, or not two different songs, but it's,
Hmm.
Lil Yachty, I think could have gotten more verses on there, maybe more talking,
Hmm.
but I kind of, it's definitely, I like it. And then number two, it's the song that probably the one song on here that I'm probably going to end up memorizing. And that's the First Person Shooter with J. Cole. That's
Yep.
I had once we get the lyrics, that one's the one that,
Hmm.
gonna memorize. But it
The
was,
J. Cole verses, I mean,
yeah, it was
unreal.
just I knew you'd like that one. That might be your number one. I'm pretty sure that's your number one. Your favorite
Do you want me to
number
spoil my
one.
list right now? I mean,
Wait. We'll talk. But my number one, I'm telling you. So I was listening to this album, right? Well, I'm
Mm,
at work, didn't, kind of forgot the album came out. My sister's texting me about it. I'm like, okay, let's get on it. I'm working, so I'm not looking at my phone, right?
I'm looking at the
I'm
track
like,
list.
yeah, I'm not looking at the track list. Here, 21 song. I'm like, okay, we're getting good. Kind of goes down a little bit. Here, J. Cole song. I'm like, all right, we're getting hyped. We're getting a little
Mm.
bit. And then I hear some soft melodies. I'm like, oh. And then I hear Yeat's voice, man.
Yeah,
And when I tell you I cried, I did not realize Yeat was on this album.
yeah.
And when I tell you I flipped out in the middle of work, thank God there's no cameras. No one saw me. I had to record a 2-minute voice note to my friend. I had to, he loves Yeat to the death. He
Yeah.
introduced me. When I tell you that's like the first time I had an experience musically where I'm like, oh, like they actually did it. That song, it might be my favorite Drake song of all time. It may be, it might just be, it might just be. It's not, we'll give it a couple days. It'll probably get stuck in the rankings, nonstop is right now currently number one. But right now, I don't give like I'm just saying
Hmm.
it's easily number one, and I think it's it combined with first person shooter, and I think another late night. They're definitely gonna be in the rotation in terms of your
Hmm.
top 20 best Drake songs, at least for me. So, but
So
that song, it's definitely like top five all time Drake song.
are you saying best Drake song? Are you saying favorite Drake song?
It's
Is there a
definitely my
difference? Does
favorite.
that matter?
Personal favorite. I think it does matter. It is a difference. I mean, Yeet is a very distinct kind of thing. Like,
Hmm.
you kind of don't get what he says, stuff like that. But it was just, I'm telling you, I've not had my heart skip a beat like that in ever. Like,
Yeah.
how much I love Yeet, how much I love Drake. They've been two separate worlds as we've known. 1 year, top 5% listener for Drake, the other year, 0.1% listener for Yeet. And just to have them combine on such good of a song,
Yeah.
and oh my, I'm kind of like trying not to listen to him that much, just that it doesn't wear off. It's just, I'm telling you, man. I don't know. I felt like I was gonna run home. I could run through a wall.
So is there any history between these guys, or is it just these
I don't
guys,
think
are
so.
your two guys and they've actually finally collabed? Is there any like working stuff? Because this is a big thing for your guy. Because I'm going through his features here right now on Spotify, and he hasn't. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody is as big as Drake, obviously, but it's not like he's working with the other A-list hip hop guys as well. It's not like he's broken into that realm yet. So he gets on the Drake album and he crushes. It's a great song. It's definitely
and you
going into
look at
my.
TikTok, it's already blowing up. Like they're kind of already laughing at Drake, like kind of
Is
cutting
it?
into Yeat's song.
I bet
But
you can speed up Yeat's voice pretty nice on there,
yeah, I no,
or
I'm
pitch it
already
up,
gonna be
anyways.
looking for slowed versions of it. I'm telling you, man, this is.
Oh, slow it down.
I'm
Okay.
telling you, Yeet is.
Reverb. No,
I'm
he crushes. It's
yeah,
it's it's a good showing for your guy. I was when I
number one.
the track list, I knew you were going to get excited about that because these are, like you're saying, your two top things colliding. But I had the same. I have a kind of a similar experience with the J. Cole thing as well too, because I know if you're an Apple Music listener, with some of the albums, anyways, they'll drop either like a track list for the album before it comes out, or you can see at least who the major features are. I'm not sure how it works, but you can like kind of see who's gonna be on the album before it actually drops. But it's not like you can do that on Spotify. The album just shows up,
Yeah,
goes up. So to see that J. Cole was going to be on this album was very exciting because this is the first time that they've actually worked together since I believe 2019. I think Jodeci's
mm.
freestyle was probably the last. Oh, well, what do you know? I was listening to it before. It was, open my phone is the first
Yeah,
thing that shows up. You like the Care Package album, right?
yeah, that's a good album. I
Yeah.
mean, very underrated.
Jodeci's freestyle off that album, J. Cole and Drake. If you haven't listened to it yet, give it a listen. But I was very excited to see the J. Cole thing. And I was excited too that Yeat had such a strong song because to be on the Drake album
So
is a
good.
big deal. And like you're saying, I think it's going to blow up a little bit. And he needed, like, because he was kind of already big in the TikTok internet world, right? So he
Yeah.
kind of already kind of a name. But in terms of actually like a music guy, like crossing over into the streaming world, like Spotify and
The
actually,
industry.
yeah, getting your name recognized in actually like a legit music way. He's been doing that, but now he's actually starting to level up. So you're bought in early and your stock continues to rise. But
I'm telling you, man. Shout out to my boy. Shout out to my boy.
I don't have a
Yeat.
top.
Put me
I
on.
don't know if I have a top five. I've got one, two, three. I've got 7 or 8 songs here that are definitely some of the best songs, and 2 or 3 that are on top. But
You didn't like the J. Cole song over Jimmy Cooks? Like Jimmy Cooks, I really like,
I
but
think the J. Cole verse on the first person shooter song is amazing. I don't know if the song around it is as good as Jimmy Cooks, if you get what I'm saying.
yeah, I
Like
know.
just
And the music
the
for Jimmy
production and
Cooks is
stuff.
crazy.
Yeah, I just like the production on Jimmy Cooks a little bit better. But
Yeah,
the J. Cole verse is, I mean, phenomenal.
yeah.
Oh geez, I don't have my number 5 necessarily set in stone. Well, I'll give it to Yeat. I'll give it to Yeat. We're riding the Yeat bandwagon.
Yeet,
I had
man.
him on my list, and you mentioned a couple of the other ones. 8 a.m. in Charlotte, 7969. The single that he dropped with SZA, "Slime You Out." It's really just SZA, like
Yeah.
just both of SZA's performances on this album, and SZA's performances just on her recent features in major albums. Like she was on DJ Khaled's album last year with a pretty amazing song. She was on the Travis Scott album, obviously, with Future and Utopia this summer as well, and then Slime Me Out with Drake. Pretty strong run for SZA, and she crushes every time she pops up. But yeah, so I think for my number 5, I'll go with Yeat. For my number, or you know what? I'll move that to number 4. Let's move that to number 4. I think my number 5 is going to be Gently with Bad Bunny.
Okay.
Goes pretty
Yeah, that was
hard.
good. I didn't understand what you're saying, but it was good.
No, but it's a fun one.
It was
Goes
good.
hard. Uh, number 4, Yeat. Number
Mhm.
3, Bahama Promises.
Okay.
I like Slow Drake. I'm a fan. Number 2, we'll go Calling for You with 21
Okay.
Savage.
That was good.
And then number 1, first person shooter, J. Cole.
Yeah.
I think the
That's a
J. Cole
solid
thing,
list.
yeah.
So you didn't like the Lil Yachty song, huh?
I like the Lil Yachty song. And Lil
Okay.
Yachty produced a beat on the album as well earlier
Oh,
that
really?
was good. And I forget which one it was, but one of the earlier songs he produced, and it was a good one.
All right. Shout out Lil Yachty.
Showed up a couple times. But
But
yeah, I
yeah,
think the J.
it
Cole
was a
thing.
good album, but not his best.
But to go back to the album expectations thing though, is this like how like is it different now? Like, do we need albums to necessarily be good? Or do we need 2 or 3 good songs off of an album? Because back in the day when you have an album, like that's what you have. If you're listening to your album, you're gonna throw it on and listen it from start to finish. But I don't think, at least for us, like nobody's really doing that. It's all playlist based, and you're never really listening. Just you're never like, oh, I'm throwing on, even like Take Care. You just don't really listen to music that way anymore. So do you even need an album to be good? Just like personally, for like saying like this album is a success? Like, or do you just need
Well,
a couple of good songs that I can throw into my playlist and add and bulk up the rotation?
no, I mean, I think that's understanding the era that we're in. Because, in previous eras, obviously, it's albums all on a CD or all on a cassette. And then you're actually throwing on
Mm,
an album. And, obviously, in those times, you had to tell a story. It's something that is, connecting from song to song. And artists still do that. But I think now, and I think it's what Drake is showing is, it's better to catch as many demographics as you can. Like he had the Spanish song, like he had Sexy Red, like he had, J. Cole for all the, rap intellects. And then he had, 21 for all the, all the, really, down stuff.
rap
And then he had
non-intellects.
Yeet for all the, those kind of guys. So it's all over the place in terms of who he has, even Chief Keef, a lot of SZA,
I like the Chief
and,
Keef song.
still his own stuff. So I think he just had it's understanding that a lot of these songs are just going to be thrown in playlists. People are going to create playlists. People have their own playlists, and it's understanding that it doesn't need to connect. You're just doing your own thing, and his he did have a theme throughout of them, in terms of For All the Dogs, but it's not really a story. It's kind of just him having, who he kind of like, I guess,
More of a slogan,
dedicates
yeah.
his albums to, yeah, or who it's to. So, but beyond that, I think it's more understanding who your audience is, and he knows that, the streaming platforms is his audience, and he'll go on tour with whoever, and this gives him as many options to go on tour with these people, and he has multiple songs with many of these people. Like we mentioned, his library is ridiculous.
Hmm.
If he goes on tour, probably, with J. Cole, there's a couple songs, SZA, there's a couple songs, 21, who he's been going on tour with, he has a couple songs. So I mean, there's just so many people, so much of a library, and he could retire today and be totally fine. Like he doesn't have to literally do
Absolutely.
anything. He literally has to do nothing. So this is all for fun, and he's just doing whatever he wants. And so far it's working. At least for this last album. I don't think it was a bad album. I think his last bad album was probably honestly never mind last year, but
Mm.
um yeah, it was good. It had great songs, and it had songs that I'm definitely gonna keep listening to. The Yeat one, maybe the rest of my life. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I guess that one will live on. But I mean, outside of that, like I think probably just B plus all the way around for every song would be my again the
Yeah.
big whole verse I think is an A plus verse. And Calling for You, I think, might be start to finish a better song than First Person Shooter. I do really like those two. But
Hmm.
outside of that, like, again, if this is the new album expectation, like playlist songs, I don't know what the quota is, but I think this sort of, for me, only has like two real strong like those two are the real strong playlist songs. And the rest of them, Bahama Promises I really like. And if it like comes back up, I guess there's like there's 2 degrees to songs. So there's playlist songs where I'm gonna put it in my playlist, and if I have my playlist on, it'll rotate
Exactly.
through. But then there's this okay, this song I'm actually playing. Like
I'm looking for. Yeah.
yeah, I'm playing this song.
Yeah.
This song has those 2 songs for me will be play songs, but the rest of them will be, the ones that we talked about will be sort of and the Yeat one. I do actually really like the Yeat one. The Yeat one is very
It's
very.
really
I
good. I'm telling
move
you,
it up
man.
to 3.
It's pretty
I'll
good.
move it up
Made
to
me cry,
3.
man.
You keep talking me into it. It's a
I'm
good
telling
one.
you.
But I guess the thing now is like what we'll have to figure out, like what is the quota for an album? Like what does an album need to get to? Is it 3 or 4 playlist songs? Plus, this is a big one too. Like this was an hour and a
Yeah.
half long.
I
So,
mean, I'd probably put it more at like 5 or 6 that I
especially
really
for
like
one
and
this
listen
long.
to.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably like, at that point, you're like a third to a half of the album. You're like, okay, this is stuff I want to listen to. And, like you mentioned, I mean, that's pretty much how I listen to albums now is I'll add the songs that I kind of like, and then I'll go back over the songs I kind of like. And I'm like, okay, which ones am I actually going to
Mhm.
listen to over and over? And like from my list, I mean, it's probably those top three and the Lil Yachty song, the Yeat song, and First Person Shooter, that are the 3 songs I will keep listening to. And all the other ones will, the 21 will probably stick around a little bit, but all the other ones will just go on my Drake playlist. And, they'll rotate every now and then. But, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to hear, Bomber Promises, which is a good song. I did like that one, but, you know, it's
Yeah, it's a fine
not,
song. Like it's fine. Like if
yeah,
it comes on, I'm
yeah,
not going to be mad about it. It plays easy in the background. It's really chill. I mean, it's Drake, so
yeah,
it's a familiar voice at this point. But I'm not search. I'm probably not going to like throw it on. Like I'm not like when I while this converts and it got to edit and stuff. Like I'm
yeah,
not queuing up Bahama Promises on the speaker.
yeah,
If I throw the playlist on and it shuffles through, oh, Bahama Promises, the new
yeah,
album.
there
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
right.
There
Some
you
new
go.
Drake. But
Yeah.
I think that's fair now. Now that I think about it, like that's the way to judge
Mhm.
it's the songs that I'm searching out to play, and then the songs that I'll add into the playlist, but I'm not necessarily going back to it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
how I
think I
listen to songs in 2023 now. You know?
I
Is that
definitely
what it
have those tiers in like the like going back to Utopia.
is?
Like there's, My Eyes, Hyenas. It's like the songs that I'm gonna play, but telekinesis. But I know with Kid Cudi, or not, that's not the Kid Cudi one. Loves the Kid Cudi one. That's another one. Throw it in a playlist. May not go back to it, but it comes on. It's like, hey, it's a good time. So maybe for our next album review,
We'll have to
that's how we'll
see.
break it down.
We'll see
I
who
don't even know
breaks
what
it
our
down.
next album review would be. There's not like a ton of
Yeah,
major album drops,
we'll see.
you know.
We will see.
And
But Drake wasn't the only thing dropping. Marvel dropped the new first episode of the Loki series.